Hey guys, welcome to Rifle Info TV. I'm your host Johnny, and on this episode we are talking about the newly released at SHOT Show 2023, the Burris Veracity PH Rifle Scope. What is the Veracity PH Rifle Scope? Well, it's based off their Veracity lineup, which is already, as you may know, if you have a Burris Veracity rifle scope, a solid scope. So, what is the PH? And what do you get? Let's get right to it. What you get is, inside the box, you're going to get a sunshade, you're going to get dust covers, front and rear, you're going to get a lens glass cleaner cloth, you're going to get a supplied Allen key to set your mechanical zero, both elevation and windage, and you're going to get two manuals. One's a quick start and one is the full out meal deal. So what is so great about this Veracity PH? So what it is this features the world's first electronic turret system, said to be accurate to 1/10 MOA. They call it the peak programmable turret system. So inside the scope, basically what it looks like is it kind of will remind you of the Burris Eliminator in its heads-up display. Inside it has your battery life, it has an electronic bubble level, and it has your windage for any given distance that you will set into the app when you're shooting. And then it displays your distance in either yards, meters, or MOA. Super cool. So when you dial up, if you have it set to yards, you're going to see it inside this display dialing up in yards. So if you range a target and set 520, you just dial to 520, get on target, and send it. It's pure genius. So what is the scope feature? So the scope has mechanical zero, both windage and elevation, same as a regular rifle scope. It's got 3 set screws up top on your elevation turret and one between the 28 and 26 hash mark, and then it also has a set screw on your windage turret. The windage turret is kind of a forget it, just set it and forget it, and put your cap back on and carry on with life. Don't ever have to touch it again. So the beauty about this is you basically take that elevation turret once you're zeroed on paper, like any other rifle scope. You basically sight this in the same. You set it to 0, you tighten down the 28 to 26 hash mark set screw, then you do the 3 on the top. Then your turret is locked at 0. You've got your mechanical zero top set. Then you'll go into your app and you'll set your electronic zero, so that when you're out, you're all evened up from app to scope. On the left side of the scope is your parallax setting. The parallax on this is 50 to infinity. Beside that, you have your on-off switch and your illumination and your Bluetooth setting. And then you have the battery, where the batteries are housed. It takes 2 CR2450 batteries. And yeah, basically that's what you get when you get the Veracity PH. It's super cool. We got it on Friday night at about 7:30. It got delivered. By the way, guys, this isn't sponsored by Tim Hortons at all. it probably should be. This Canadian coffee is good. Anyhow, we got it, and then we debated what we were going to do because I had shooting practice the next day, because I have a competition in 2 weeks. So I was debating. Normally I do all my reviews with my most accurate rifle, my 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a tack driving machine, and I was debating till about 11 o'clock at night because it's ready for the year. Do I take my Schmidt and Bender off this thing and put this Burris veracity PH on? You know, of course I got basically the meat sweats, my stomach hurt. You know, as I was starting to turn those nuts off on the Picatinny to take that scope off, you know, I wasn't feeling so good about my decision. So anyway, I went ahead, we put it on, you know. Now the biggest thing with this scope, like any other scope, when you mount it, it's the exact same as a regular rifle scope. Burris did their homework on this because this is not, there's no funky stuff like with the Burris Eliminator. It mounts into a set of 30 mil rings just like any other 30 mil scope. That's the beauty about it, you know. So basically we got it in our rings, we got our eye relief set. One thing I will say, make sure you're always, whenever you mount a scope, make sure the scope is even in your rings. And because this has a lot of electronic stuff going on, stay away. I would stay about an inch to a half an inch away from those turrets. I think mine's about a half inch away to an inch. So it's fine. Now, when you clamp your top ring down, 20 foot-pounds is what I recommend. Don't exceed 20 foot-pounds, because again, there's a lot going on in this Burris veracity PH scope. You do not want to mess it up. So once you've got that scope on, the beauty about this is, you know, when you mount your scope, you're going to have it on a level surface. Make sure your horizontal, vertical is level. Then you're going to mount your scope in the rings. You're going to get on, you're going to get your eye relief set. You're going to make sure you're even in your rings. Once you've done that and you've got it semi tightened up where you can still move it, basically what you're going to do is you go in, you're going to see there's an electronic level inside there. What I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what scope you're running, I always tell people, do a natural zero. You know, when your cheek touches the cheek rest and your butt is in your shoulder pocket, the same place every time, this leads to consistency downrange. Now, it's been scientifically proven that a natural level is the way to go. So you're not fighting your rifle. Whenever you put your face to that cheek rest, by doing the natural level, that crosshair, it should be perfectly straight. If it's not, then you know that you've got an issue, right? The beauty about this is, once you do that, you get that natural level established. That way you're comfortable behind your firearm and it's straight to you. The beauty about it is you go into the app, you go in and you set your electronic level. Now your whole system, your whole operating system is one unit, and it's one unit to you, where you feel comfortable, and that's going to lead you to consistency, especially with this scope. Now, we took it out on Saturday morning, went out to practice. So basically I sighted it in like any other rifle. 100 yards. Took us 2 shots. Was bang on, incredible. I was actually pretty blown away. The glass in this thing, just so you guys know, if you're thinking anything that is an electronic scope, you're always going to have some sort of funky business going on. And hey, I would normally agree with you, like with the other ones that I have reviewed in the past. Unfortunately, those videos are no longer up because they're no longer prevalent. I really don't think people are going to buy those scopes anymore because it's older technology and you can't really compare it to this. So anyways, we zeroed it in at 100, 2 shots. Then instead of playing around, I went in, I put all my ballistic data in, my bore height, my cartridge, my feet per second, what I wanted to see my distance displayed in, and I chose yardage. And then what I did is I went in the scope before sending another round down range. I went in and I just turned the elevation dial to a known distance, and then I went in to the ballistic part of the app, and down at the bottom you'll see where it gives you basically your drop card, okay? And I matched that up and I made sure that the numbers on the turret lined up with the numbers on that drop card. Once I was happy with that, basically we had a target at 811 yards, and I was like, well, you know what, I'm just shooting at the 811 yards. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. I think my buddy thought I was a little bit crazy for doing so. Normally you pace yourself out, but Johnny doesn't. So anyways, target was at 811 yards. We had a bad wind. We had a 10-mile-an-hour wind, and a lot of times it was blowing full value to the west. A lot of people that were there were making comments on how bad the wind was, that this was a horrible day. And yeah, it was a pretty horrible day. But for me, I love shooting in the wind. The more wind, the better, because that makes you a better shooter. Because if you can read the wind, and if you can get on paper in the wind, and you can be hitting consistently at 1,000 yards in the wind, you're learning, right? So anyways, we sent first round 811, ding. After that, we sent another, I believe it was 17 rounds to 811 yards. All were hits. I have a little witness line on the silhouette target. It's an 18-inch target, and yeah, it was basically bang on, pretty much dead center each shot. I used the inside of this radical to hold over the wind. It has hash marks at 1 MOA. So I used that, and it worked perfectly. One thing you're going to notice is the radical inside this the whole scope was well thought out. The radical does not take up your field of view, and that's what I like about it. And it's a simplified radical, but if you read the instructions, which most of us guys don't do, or you watch my videos, it makes it easier on you, and you understand what the subtensions in your radical are, right? Those hash marks in this, just so you know, your subtensions, 1 MOA. Each full hash mark on your windage is 1 MOA, and the little one is 0.5. So so yeah, like, I was extremely impressed to go from 100 all the way to 811 and hit 17 shots. You know, even my buddy, he was having a rough day. He's like, you know, he couldn't believe it was just ding, 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 and I had just sighted it in. I would shoot like 3 rounds let my barrel cool. You know, I don't know how much it cooled in 30 degrees, but whatever. So yeah, basically, you know, and then once I was done again, I played with the app a little bit, you know, went in, and then I brought it back down to 0, made sure it showed 100 in distance for my 0. Now this is one thing you will like for troubleshooting purposes. So let's say you dial back down to 0 on this electronic turret, and let's say it says something like 109 yards, and you're like, what? 109 yards. All you got to do is go over, turn it to your Bluetooth setting, go to your optic, click on your optic on the app, go to 0, hit 0 again, it'll 0 it. You've never touched anything. You haven't touched your elevation turret, you haven't touched your windage turret. It zeroes it, and you'll see 100, and you're bang on. So, and like I say, I mean, I think all in all, Burris did a bang out job on this. So we are going to take it out. Again, I have practice on Thursday night, so we're going to take it out Thursday night, and we're gonna send her. And believe it or not, I'm not gonna put the Schmidt and Bender back on here right now, because honestly, the accuracy of this scope and the clarity, I'm pretty damn impressed. You know, I'm not gonna put it on for my competition. I'm gonna leave the Burris Veracity PH on. Now, with that said, guys, this was designed for hunting. This was never designed for precision shooting. But you know what? I wasn't designed for sane thinking either. So, you know, I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it and see what it does. I mean, you never know, right? A lot of it again is the guy behind the rifle, and I would like to think I'm semi-capable. Older I get, the blinder I get, and the deafer I get, according to my kids, the less capable I'm becoming. But I'll never admit it. I'm still 25 in my head. Fortunately, the body says otherwise. So, anyways, guys, this is the Burris Veracity PH. Join me for our next video. Our next episode, we'll be at the range. We're going to send this thing. The range we're going to be going to practice at goes out to, I think it's 600 yards. So yeah, you'll be seeing some Freedom fly out to about 600. The beauty at that range is we have dongs that are 2 inches at 600 yards. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I always test all my scopes based on that 2-inch dong at 600 yards for accuracy, because I mean, if you're hitting that, you pretty much know you've got a good operating system, you know, from scope to rifle. You know, all the components are aligned. So yeah, join me next episode. We'll do some range review. You guys can see me send some Freedom. Until next time, thank you for watching. Remember, always hunt ethically, responsibly. Always handle your firearm safely. Always make sure, you know, whenever you're doing anything with your firearm, make sure that chamber's empty, free and clear, so you're safe, your family's safe, and other people are safe. And take pride in your firearms, take pride in yourself. Thanks for watching.